You ever hear a Lamborghini scream across a farm field? It's the kind of noise that'll stick with you like a rock slide, mixed with a stampede of pissed-off cows. That's what I woke up to, standing there in the frame of my old barn, gripping a rusty shovel, just watching as this blinding white Lamborghini Urus tore up my land for the third time that week. Yeah, the third. My cows scattered, chickens lost their minds. One poor hen flapped so hard she nearly took flight. Fence posts snapped like a toothpick under those monster tires. Did they slow down? Not even a little. Inside the car, you'd see two women, Susan and Carol. Picture this. Susan, blonde and loud, head hanging out the window, cackling like she owns the world, and Carol, hiding half her face behind sunglasses the size of dinner plates, popping gum like she's 10 years old and knows you can't do a thing about it. The two of them, if entitlement had a noise, that'd be a treving engine, roaring laughter, leaving nothing but dust and torn-up ground behind. First time we met, I was fixing a stretch of fence out back crack of dawn, Sunday morning. The earth starts vibrating before I hear that bass. Here comes that same white beast, kicking up gravel, acting like my home was a shortcut on some GPS adventure. I flag him down, wave both hands. They stop sort of. Susan nearly plowed into a goat. Lost, I asked, cool as I could manage. Carol looks me up and down, rhinestones on her jacket sparkling in the sun. Nope, just taking a shortcut. GPS says this is fastest. I nodded at my homemade private property sign. You're trespassing, I said. Susan just snapped a photo, giggling, look, Carol, he's got a Pitchfork Classic. Carol snorted, it's 2025, maybe don't build your farm in the middle of the road. Then they peeled out, showering me with gravel and laughter. At first, I figured city folks, right? GPS messes up, they get lost, it happens. But the next day, there they were again. And then again. Soon enough, it was like a twisted ritual. Late afternoons, that same obnoxious bass rattling my windows, the Urus flying through my back fence line, scaring livestock, waving like we're old buddies. Sometimes, they brought Campania convertible packed with just as much perfume, lip gloss, and volume. To them, my farm was nothing but scenery and boundaries. Well, those were for other people. I tried polite. Left notes. Private property, please don't enter. Gone in a day. Put up a chain, came back. It had been cut. Called the county. Left messages for the sheriff. Even caught Deputy Marks at the dinner. He just dunked his fries in a milkshake and shrugged. Hard to prove trespass. Got footage. I'm the eyewitness, I said. He chuckled. Gated community folks always stirring the pot. You know how it is. Yeah, I did. The twins only got bolder. One morning, I found a gash right through my soybean field deep, ruts like a monster truck had been playing in the mud. That crop was supposed to pay a chunk of my bills. Instead, I got a text from my niece's TikTok video, millions of views. There they were, Susan in the front seat, Carol behind the wheel, music blaring, laughing as they cut through my land. Comments cheering them on. Country roads, more like runways. Queens, don't stop for cows. I just clenched my jaw. My life, me sweat, and labor was now a social media joke. I tried everything short of standing there with a shotgun. But you can only take so much before something inside you snaps. That's when I started thinking less like a farmer, more like a guy with a grudge. I paid attention Fridays, Sundays, always in full glam, jewelry shining, makeup thick as paint. Susan wore neon, Carol rocked leopard print. But their car was their crown, jewel gleaming, spotless, showroom perfect. I thought it'd be a real shame if something happened to it, not revenge. Mind you, just consequences. Nature's got a way of handling things. You plant poison ivy, don't expect roses. I started studying the land, one marshy spot, just past the corral, low and slick after a good rain, always part of their shortcut. One night, when the cicadas were humming and the crickets were singing, I took my old ATV and a bag of tricks out there. Hoses, sprinkler timers, bags of clay. Built myself a welcome modder pit that looked innocent enough, but would suck the tires off a tank. I tested it with a hay bale. Sunk like a stone. Then I waited 2 days, 3 till late on the 4th, when sunset made the sky burn amber, and I heard it. The thrum, the god-awful bass. Here they come, Susan, arms out the window, filming, Carol grinning like she's about to rob a bank. The Urus crest the hill, headlights flashing. I just leaned on my post and whispered, "Showtime." They hit the field like they always did, waving, horns blasting. Susan yells, "Want a ride, Farmer John?" 20 yards from the pit. I could see the rhinestones on her sunglasses, the garish purple lipstick, the cocky grin. My thumb found the remote for the sprinkler one click, and that whole patch turned into a bog. The Lumbo sailed right in, smooth at first, then slop. The back end started to sink, slow and steady. Carol noticed, jerked the wheel, but it was too late. Tires spun, mud flew. She floored it, big mistake. The clay just sucked them in deeper. That beautiful white paint job, now a mud-caked disaster. Susan screeched, Carol cursed, doors flew open. Susan hit the muck face first, lost a shoe and what was left of her dignity. Carol tried climbing out the window, slipped off the hood, and landed flat in Kalmanaride, made sure there was plenty. Twist is, their friends showed up 5 women, all in sundresses and fancy hats, phones out, recording everything. One cackled, "You look like a chocolate-dipped marshmallow." Another, "This is going straight to TikTok." The twins screamed at them to stop, but that only egged them on. Carol spun on me. "You did this." I just shrugged. "Build a pasture?" Susan, dripping mud, pointed, "You'll pay for this, you hillbilly psycho. That's a $200,000 car." I nodded, "Try towing it out." Last tractor needed a crane. The friends kept filming. Susan slipped again, fell backwards. Carol started yelling about lawsuits. I pulled out my phone, told Deputy Marks, "Here's your trespassing footage." Threats, too. Just then, a tow truck rolled over the hill, driver, sipping coffee, grinning. "Y'all stuck." Susan tried to be tough, mud running off her chin. "Get out now." Driver shook his head, not without a waiver. "Insurance cover off-road." Carol blinked. "It's not off-road." Driver grinned. "Ain't a road." Their pride sank faster than that Lamborghini. I went back to the barn, poured myself some iced tea, watched the sunset over a field that had finally gotten the last word. The Urus was a wreck. Susan was screaming. Carol was checking her phone for damage. But the moment was out of their hands now. Next morning, peace. No engines, no dust, just quiet. By noon, half the county had seen the footage. TikTok lit up. Karens get muddy justice. 3 million views in a day. Local news picked it up, even got a slow-mo replay set to dramatic violin. I didn't make a dime, but didn't need. Tow neighbors brought beer. Strangers dropped by to shake my hand. My farm page blew up to 1,000 followers. Comments rolling in. Legend. Teach me your ways. I put up one post, a photo of a muddy tire. Sometimes the earth bites back. But Susan and Carol weren't done. 2 days later, a suit drops off, an envelope lawsuit for property damage, defamation, emotional distress. Pages of dramatic nonsense, screenshots of them covered in mud. I laughed. Called my lawyer Vic, owed me a favor. He read the complaint, laughed harder. "They walked onto your land, broke your fence, and fell in their own mess. Laching sui. We countered trespass, destruction, harassment. Included bills for everything." A week later, they dropped Itlawire, probably realized it was a PR bomb waiting to go off. The story kept spreading. YouTube compilations, late night shows making jokes about the Urus that met its match. My farm page kept growing. Companies offered free gear. I even got asked on a podcast about rural justice. Turned down a reality show, though I am not here for fame. Months later, I spot the twins in town. No makeup, no designer bags, pushing a cart, driving a gray Kia Soul. Carol saw me, looked away. Susan muttered something, eyes down. I just nodded, let them pass. Some stories don't need sequels. Still, that sprinkler system's buried in the pasture, just in case. And I keep the signs fresh. Private property trespassers will be embarrassed. My fields are calm. Fences holding, animals content. Karma doesn't always take years sometimes. All it needs is a little clay, some water, and a stubborn farmer. So how would you have done? Ever had your own shortcut problem? Hit like, share your story below, and remember, don't mess with farmers. We've got more patience and tricks than you think.